everyone, we are from Group I, English Prose Class A, and in this occasion, we are going to explain about the analysis of the story The Rules of the Game by Amitan. But first of all, let us introduce ourselves. So in here, I'm going to mention one by one. The first is Restu Dinda Novianti with student number 006, and the second is Alfiza Dinda Amayuri with student number 021, and me, Bella Yunda Putri with student number 31, and the last is Ansyar Shaka Prawira with student number 039. First of all, I would like to explain about the background of the story first. Family is the best place for a person to grow and learn, and an individual receives its first education from family, and this process also embarks the cultural transmission from parents to children. The process of passing down cultural value is generally called as enculturation, based on fluent learning, and thus one must maintain strong bond with their family in order to receive an all-out education regarding their culture. Parental participation for their children's education is also very crucial, as it also raises enthusiasm in learning circumstances. In connection with learning culture within family and family relationship, a story by Amitan titled The Rules of the Game exhibits culture learning by showcasing Chinese cultural value, which is passed from a mother to her daughter, Beverly Zhang. The cultural value conceived in the story is robust. It is shown by the mother who keeps telling her children about Chinese value and how she herself also showcases an archetypal Asian mom behavior. These two aspects also reveal the relationship state between the mother and the children, mainly Beverly Zhang or Mei Mei, that emphasizes hierarchy in family. As a consequence, there are several family issues found in the story that will be discussed further in this analysis. So next, I'm going to explain about the summary of this story. So in the story, the main character is Beverly Zhang that must live with Chinese culture in her childhood life. So the story is mainly talking about the cultural value in Chinese neighborhood in San Francisco's Chinatown. So Beverly Zhang experienced a non-comfortable experience during her childhood because her mother always told her about Chinese culture until the time she's very angry toward her mother because her mother keeps praising her achievement in chess tournament to other people, and that also rises her anger toward Chinese culture as well. So in this story, it is overall talking about the cultural value of Chinese. And next, I'm going to explain about the context of this story. So in the story, The Rules of the Game is a story based on writer's ups and downs during her life as a Chinese American. However, the story mainly portrayed her mother's life, who became immigrant in America during communist occupation in 1949. This experience brings a great storyline about the clash of Chinese culture with American culture. Next, I'm going to explain about the setting of this story. So the first is it takes place in San Francisco's Chinatown, and it is shown in this line. We live in San Francisco's Chinatown. And the second is in Waverly Place. It is shown in this line. We live on Waverly Place in a warm, clean, 2-bedroom flat that sat above a small Chinese bakery specializing in steamed pastries and dim sum. And the third is in medical herb shop. My brothers and I would peer into the medicinal herb shop, watching old Lee dole out onto a steel sheet of white paper the right amount of insect shells. And next is Ping Yuan Fish Market. Far down the street was Ping Yuan Fish Market. Next is Hong Sing's, and the corner of the alley was Hong Sing's, a 4-table cafe with a recessed stairwell in front that led to a door market tradesman. And the next is Chinatown Library. I borrowed books from the Chinatown Library. Next, playground. I detoured through the playground at the end of our alley. The next is local chess tournaments. A man who watched me play in the park suggested that my mother allow me to play in local chess tournament. My mother smiled graciously, an answer that meant nothing. And the next is tournaments. I attended more tournaments, each one far away from home. And the next is high school auditorium. I was playing in a large high school auditorium that echoed with plague me cold and the squeaky rubber knobs of chair legs sliding across freshly waxed wooden floors. And the next is shops. My mother would proudly walk with me, visiting many shops, buying very little. And the next is crowds. Crowds of people with heavy bags push past us on the sidewalk, bumping into first one shoulder, then another. And next is alley. I fled down an alley, past dark curtained shops and merchants washing the grime off their windows. And the last is Mimi's bedroom. I walked into my room, closed the door, and lay down on my bed.
Hello everyone, I'm Malfiza Dinda with student number 021. I'm going to continue the explanation about the literary analysis of the story Rules of the Game by Amy Tan, which consists of 4 parts: plot, conflict, climax, and then resolution. Okay, first things first, let's talk about the plot of the story. Toward the beginning of the story, the narrator retraces, I was 6 when my mother taught me the art of invisible strength. It was a strategy for winning arguments, respect from others, and eventually, though neither of us know at the time, chess games. The plot examined that Waverly was trying to discover the art of invisible strength that became a search for a self-conception from her ancestry, Chinese and American. After their battle and Waverly flees, she in the end returns and her mother says she will presently don't have anything to do with her daughter. Waverly envisions playing a round of chess with her mother, where her mother pieces overcome every last bit of her own. Nonetheless, the story closes with Waverly learning this invisible strength through her mother's lessons. As her man drew closer to my age, I felt myself growing light. I rose up into the air and flew out the window, higher and higher above the alley, over the tops of tiled roofs where I was gathered up by the wind and pushed up toward the night sky until everything below me disappeared and I was alone. I closed my eyes and pondered my next move. By the invisible strength, she can fly. Okay, now let's dive into the conflict. The final conflict throughout the story is a conflict between mother and daughter. Waverly desires to cut loose from her mother and confidently want to make herself a more independent person without seeing that she's still too young to do everything on her own. What intensifies this longing is that Waverly is more reflect the characteristics of American in her standpoint, though Waverly's mother shows more reflect on the Chinese. It also exposed to Waverly's Chinese-American family that almost immediately can be imagined that there will definitely be a prolonged conflict between the differences in the characteristics of each. Next is the climax. The climax of the story is the moment when Waverly runs away from home. The height of the tension was shown as the climax. It is at this point that the reader were made to wonder about what if Waverly can get by without her family and explicitly without her controlling mother. Of course, we already know the answer is no. Waverly cannot run away because she cannot survive without them. With such a young and lack knowledge about the outside world, it strengthens Waverly to undo her intentions. She returns after only 1 day apart, which is a symbol of her defeat. Last but definitely not the least is the resolution. The resolution is the conclusion of the story. The resolution is when Waverly returns home and understands that her mother is beating her in a round of chess that is in her mind and she is pondering her next move. As a result of this, we can come across about the resolution of the story Rules of the Game that Waverly learned enough to challenge her mother. Alrighty, I guess that's all my part for explain about this literary analysis. Now let's continue to the next presentation.
Hello everyone, my name is Sansarjaka Prawira and my student number is 039 and I'm here to explain about the character analysis of Amy Tan, The Rules of the Game. First of all, I want to talk about the main character of the story, The Rules of Game, that is Waverly plays young. Mimi, as her family called that, is is the narrator, and we follow her story through her perspective. Mei is a normal girl live in San Francisco's Chinatown. She loves to play chess ever since her brother received the chess set at a Christmas church party. She keeps playing the chess and winning many tournaments until she became a professional player. But her skills also came with a pressure from none other than her mother. She started to interfere with her play style and keeps telling her not to win by losing more pieces of the chess. At one point, she finally snapped at her mother of being too show-off and annoying at the same time. In the end, she needs to face the consequences and that she brought upon herself. Second of all, we talk about Waverly's mother. She taught Waverly some Chinese wisdom, including one to win her arguments. She is somehow manipulative toward her children, especially Waverly, but to believe that whatever she says is the best for them. She tried to control everything about her daughter and leave nothing for her own decision and opinion. In the end, if everything does not work according to her thought, she just tosses it away, like she told Waverly that she does not concern about her anymore. Third of all are Vincent and Winston Chong. Both of them are the older brothers of Mei, and they are the reason why Mei was so genius at playing chess. Because Vincent brought it to their home after he received the gift at Christmas church party. Last of all is Lao Po. Lao Po is the old man in the park whom Waverly challenged to a game of chess. He was act as a mentor for Waverly after she was constantly losing to him in a game of chess. Lao Po also gives many advice to Mei about strategy and ethic to become a good and professional chess player. Next, I'm going to explain about literary devices in the rules of the game by Amy Tan. I'm going to explain about 3 of the literary devices, which are allusion, foil, and foreshadowing. First, allusion. The rules of the game mentions Bobby Fischer, a world chess grandmaster. Bobby Fischer stated there will be never a woman grandmaster. This allusion helps give the reader a big picture of the story, and the allusion helps make the piece seem more realistic. It also mentioned Life magazine, one of the most popular magazines in America and also a pioneer to photojournalism. Foil. So foil. Mei's mother is an example of foil characters. In the surface, she was very supportive toward her daughter, but at the same time, she was also the reason of pain and misery that Mei feels when she becomes famous. She and Mei are different to each other, and we could see better on why Mei becomes so unhappy throughout the story from her mother's action. Third of all, foreshadowing. The author Amy Tan used foreshadowing at the opening of the dialogue of the story, when Mei reminisced back when she was at age 6. At that time, she doesn't know that her mother wisdom or Chinese wisdom that her mother taught to her, the art of invisible strength, can help her win the chess tournament. Near the end of the story, particularly when Mei wins every tournament or chess match and getting more famous, she was freed from her daily chores and her mother gives her some privilege. It feels too real to be true because of how Mei's mother acts, and some kind of an unknown issue is definitely foreseeable.
Hello, my name is Restudinda Novianti, and I would like to explain about the themes, irony, and symbolism of the story. The themes of the story is power. Although pure power itself is immaculate and invincible, the effects of power can be seen manifested in a mother-daughter struggle, a male-female tug-of-war, a conflict between Asian and American values in an immigrant family, and the opposition between black and white in a chess game. The mother-daughter struggle for psychological ascendancy between Lindo and Waverly is the most prominent manifestation of the tense theme of power. Implicit in this mother-daughter struggle is a conflict contrasting Asian values, which emphasize familial and communal horror against American values, which reward individual achievement. Asians more readily attribute a person's achievement to a familial and communal nurturing, whereas Americans more readily give this credit to an individual's own efforts and talents, hence Waverley's assertions. The story also portrays a gender difference in cultural point of view and intersects with the contrast between Asian and American values. By Chinese rules, the big brother should be the main achievers of the family, whereas the feminine little sister, Waverley, should be merely a decorative background figure. And then the irony is when initially Zhong's mother told Vincent to throw the chess set away, since finds it to be dispensable. However, when Waverley Zhong plays contest and crushes her chess competitors, her mother would join the crowds during these outdoors exhibition games. She sat proudly on the bench, telling admirers with proper Chinese humility is luck. This shows how Waverley's mother did not want the chess set until it started bringing good to her family and their family's name. She not want it. We no want it, she said, tossing her hands stiffly to the side of a tight and proud smile. The mother's encourages a reaction to chess begs the question, how come her mother is proud of Waverley John's success when she had asserted that they do not require the chess set? Perhaps the mother was misguided by the perception that the American rules which govern chess would make it invisible for her Chinese child to triumph in the game. Then the symbolism. In the rules of the game, chess is of course a symbol. The story tells about the game, like in the line, the secrets I found within the 64 black and white squares. As Waverley learns the game, she learns her inner strength. The game takes her on a journey which gives her notoriety but also teaches her the game of life and the ways she and her mother must navigate it. Then, the wind remains present throughout the story. In a way, the wind acts very much like an imaginary friend. The wind whispers wisdom in her ear in the same way that little kids carry on conversations with friends that only they can see. Like in a line, it whispered secrets only I could hear. The wind also gives Waverley strength and hope. It pushes her toward freedom, which is in opposition to what Waverley's mother is doing to her. Another symbol present in the story is the fish and turtles that are held prisoner in the shop nearby Waverley's home. The fish and turtles are trapped just like Waverley is trapped. They struggle to escape, but they are not capable of it in the same way that Waverley is controlled by her mother. That's all our analysis presentation on the story The Rules of Game by Amitan. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you very much for your attention and see you on the next occasion.